Hi everyone, this is Crash Me Twice, and today I would like to share my new project, which is a conversion of my office chair into a pilot chair for my SimPit. Okay, I'm starting out by removing the armrest from the left side of my chair, and I'm gonna make it movable so that I can move the armrest up and down just like you would see it in a truck, semi-truck. So I welded this all up using just standard mild steel and mounted then the tubing, or welded the tubing, to the original armrest plate. I put that hinged on another little angle iron with a bolt and then mounting it back to the chair. As you can see here, I can move that armrest now up and down as I need to. As you can see here, when I move back and forward with my chair, I used to have a carpet trim on the end, so those wheels will stop at some certain point so I could actuate my rudders without moving back or forward. Now I'm gonna revamp all of it. I'm taking off the cables which actuate the height of adjustment for the chair, and also the cable which actuates the lean or the reclining part of the chair. I'm taking the whole assembly off, and as you can see here, that's the bare bone bottom part of the office chair. It was a little tough to get this all out, so I had to use a dead blow hammer. I will be using standard bucket seat sliders like from Hot Rods and other cars. These bucket seat sliders will be going onto the chair base by welding, and I'm gonna mark here which I have to grind down to get a good weld on it. So here in the garage, I'm gonna start by grinding down the base, and then I will be welding those sliders to it. The rear bolts need to be removed or cut down, so it gives me a flat welding surface. The front bolts, they will work just fine for the seat base to be mounted on. And now I'm gonna weld it all up. Back in the shop, I'm now making a little bracket. This will pull both brackets at the same time when the lever is actuated. That bracket is mounted with 2 bolts and lock nuts. This prevents the nuts from rattling loose. Here we go. I'm gonna clamp it into the vise and give it a quick test run if the sliders move back and forward as intended. And Now I'm gonna mount it onto the chair. Gonna pre-drill. The chair base is usually wood, so it's a fairly easy process. I'm using a few standoffs just to get it a little bit away from the chair itself so that the mechanism moves freely. Now I'm cutting a T-slot profile, a 4080, which will mount to the base the chair will lock into. Okay, so I had a little dilemma. I couldn't get anything from a local shop because it was closed during the weekend, but thanks to the Harbor Freight Show, I was able to get standard 2-inch receiver tube you find on any bigger truck. As you can see here, I used my chop saw to do this. I cut this piece up in an angle to match the base of the seat. And I'm gonna cut this down so I have a receiving end for the post where the chair locks into. So in actuality, it works just like you would put a trailer on a truck, except in a vertical motion. I'm making 2 angle brackets to mount this in place. I rechecked on the seat base if this is all lining up, and now you can see pretty good that this needed an angle. So now I'm gonna go ahead and mark and quick drill some mounting holes. I'm also gonna drill a hole into the receiver, as I will be adding a bolt handle, and it requires me to weld a nut on it, as you will see in the next part. I'm just gonna put a couple spot welds on it before I put it in the vise and welding it all up. Now I'm gonna weld a nut onto the receiver for the bolt handle. And as usual, my favorite chalk bed coating from Duplicolor will finish it up so it looks somewhat decent. The seat base is wood, so I can't use Loctite, but I can use Type Bomb Premium Wood Glue. That will do the trick just fine. For the post, which I will be machining next, I'm using 6061 aluminum for my scrap metal bin, and this will work just great. I will cut only off what I need, this way I don't waste the whole piece. This part doesn't have to be super accurate, because I will be milling it into shape. When finished, this piece or post will fit into the receiver. Here you can see that I added a little key slot, which goes right over the weld inside of the receiver. Now again I cut from 6061 aluminum flat stock a plate for the base of the base. This will then all slide nicely onto the T-slot. And of course this has to run along with T-slot nuts, so we need 4 holes. The post will mount to the base plate with 2 M8 bolts. Now I'm drilling the 2 holes into the post. I have to enlarge the holes for M8 threading. Both of these holes go approximately 2/3 into the material. Now I'm filing down the edges of the post. Next I have to drill 2 holes in the base plate to accept the post. This requires a little bit of measuring, but it doesn't have to be 1000% accurate because I need a little bit of play in there to make this work. Also, these holes need to be a little bit enlarged. I'm using countersunk bolts and therefore I have to chamfer the base plate for them. Now you can see how easy that goes into the receiver. Now we're going to make a quick test on the T-slot profile, making sure it all aligns and goes in there smoothly. Now I'm going to make the base structure for the T-slot profile, which will go on top, and then the chair will go into the post on the T-slot profile. It doesn't look too pretty now, but with some spackle and some beautification, it should be alright. And here you can see it mounted to the left side of my SimPit. It was quite difficult to get this all in place as I'm using deck screws, and it's a very tight area to work with. Now I'm drilling holes into the 2x4 to accept bolts and T-slot nuts for the T-slot profile to be mounted on. As you can see, it's already painted. Now we're gonna get back to the base. Now, to really make this a great pilot chair, one needs some real good butt kicking. I will be installing under the chair a base shaker, also known as a transducer. Just because it's a pilot chair doesn't mean I cannot use this as an office chair. So the receiver and the base is made so that it can lift off and the chair can be freely moved back, forward, left, right, and turned as intended. The problem which needs to be solved is the connection to the base shaker. The base shaker also requires then wires to be run to the T-slot and from the T-slot to the subwoofer amp. So the profile needs to be slotted to route the cables inside the profile. The profile has a center cavity and I want to use this one for the cables. This will all make sense in the next part. Now I'm making a special connection, and for this I need holes to accept copper posts, and these have to be isolated from the metal. First I'm going to enlarge the holes and then I will recess them so they can accept acetal runners with the copper inside. The receiver part will also get a block which has the opposite connection for the base shaker. Again, I'm using acetal for my stockpile and I will cut it down, eliminating any waste. This part needs to go into the receiver which is mounted to the chair. So it has the same dimensions as the post, but with the added angle. So milling is next. It's a little bit too tall, so I have to mill it down a little bit more. Here we go. Now it's time for more holes. There's 2 holes for the connector pins and 1 hole for a bolt to mount it to the chair, inside of the receiver. I'm creating a pocket so the bolt can be recessed. The holes are now enlarged. To route speaker cables, I need to slot the underside. I thought I'd cop a round stock, but I didn't, at least not in the size I needed it. So I quartered a piece of a larger round stock and making pins out of that. And here's just some extra work rounding the quarters into a round rod. The pins will go into the acetal block and they will be press fit into it, so they have very tight tolerances. The pins have holes which I will be drilling into from the side, thread them so that I can clamp speaker cables to them. Here you can see I already put the speaker cables into the holes and used set screws from the side to hold them in place. Well, I kind of forgot how to get those speaker cables out of the mount, so I had to make a hole from the side into my brackets to accept a grommet in which then the cable sleeves through. Okay, so far so good. Next time I'm gonna finish that chair up. It will take me a little bit, but it will be hopefully sooner than from the last video to this one. Until then, don't forget to check out my Discord channel and to visit my website for project downloads. So please keep an eye out for the next video, which will be the conclusion for my pallet chair. And I hope you will be back for the second part of this project. Well, thank you for watching. If you like this project so far, and I earned a like from you, then you know what to do. Crash Me Twice, out.